Welcome to the Longevity Lab, the podcast where we break down the real reasons why your health isn't where you want it to be and what you can do about it. I'm your host, Dr. Jae Hitson, and after 25 years in holistic health, I've seen far too many people stuck in a system that's failing them. Here, we uncover the misdiagnoses, hidden health patterns, and overlooked solutions that could change everything. Whether it's a chronic illness, a hormone imbalance, or a fertility struggle, we dive deep to find the answers that you haven't been given, because your health isn't a mystery and you deserve real solutions. Let's get started. Welcome to the Longevity Lab. I'm your host, Dr. Jae Hitson. Today, we are going to be talking about some of the craziest cases that have come across my desk just in the last week. There are so many individuals who are really searching for answers and want to get better. They're going to the various professionals and they're not getting the results. I love going through some of these different situations and uncovering what it is that has led to all of these just crazy, bizarre situations. So let's just kind of dive in here. First one. This particular gentleman is in his early 50s and has already starting to notice like the signs of early onset dementia. Now, no matter what age you're at, that's terrifying to like not feel in control of our own mind, our own mental state. And, especially if you have a family history of dementia where you've seen loved ones go through this, it just brings on a whole other level of panic. And of course, there's really not much in traditional healthcare for, the early onset. There's some different medications out there and whatnot. Anyway, the jury's still out on some of these different things. But very quickly, we go through and look at his numbers and his medications. He's on four different diabetes medications. Now, okay, if we're not getting results with one, and then we're not getting results with two, it almost becomes ridiculous to keep, and not taking them off of numbers 1, 2, and 3. 4 different diabetes medications, and the diabetes is still not under control. So that really does make you think, okay, well, are we not addressing the root cause of the problem? And I run into this so often where their doctors give them just a little bit of information about diet, lifestyle, exercise, but just take this, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it's not. So I really love Dr. Dale Bredesen, The End of Alzheimer's. He wrote an incredible book. Anybody who has any concerns about Alzheimer's in your family, for yourself, I do recommend his book. It's a bit heady. It's very intricate, but I feel like he described it better than anybody else. And in there, he gets into how the effects of glucose and insulin can impact mental cognition. And so it just totally makes sense that somebody whose diabetes is so out of control, not addressing the root cause, just trying to medicate it, instead of working on, the core root, which is probably the diet. Well, you can see why that's not working. And as a side effect, now we're seeing all of these early onset mental cognition, early onset, dementia symptoms. That brings me to one of my other favorite, or not so favorite, instances of the week. So this one actually was in, my own family. So here's one of the interesting things is, a prophet is never welcome in their hometown. It's really, really hard to give recommendations and to doctor people who have known you since you were young. And so I've got a family member who I don't really want to be their doctor. So I sent them off to somebody who, I trust. Very, very, very good, smart, wonderful, wonderful individual who does similar work to what I do. But I was really, really dismayed. My family member, we knew was always borderline diabetic. And when we got the test results back, we're not borderline anymore. We're there. We're in the diabetes, type 2 diabetes. I was really kind of taken aback when my family member comes home and says, "Oh, yeah, they've got this injection for me, and I'm just going to be able to take this injection. I don't have to worry about my diet." And I'm just thrown by that because, now this individual, they're walking in with a big gulp. I'm like, wow, we're so regressing. And now we're just relying on this magic shot to take care of everything. And that's kind of what upsets me about some of the practitioners who are in this world of being more natural and being more holistic and all of that. But they're still so medically minded that they're leading people towards, oh, well, this injection side effects are low. It's not causing people that many problems. Okay, I do understand, even though this particular injection, it's doing pretty good things. It is helping people lower their glucose levels. I get that. But if you're still putting poison into your body, you're still creating other issues. So is that really the right advice? And that's just not my philosophy. I love how good it feels to eat right. Anybody who's been down this road, when you are eating good quality foods, you just feel so much more energy. You just aren't tired all the time. Your body, your muscles, your joints, everything just feels so much better. So why would you give up that feeling just because you can get a shot that can lower these particular numbers? So that is also one of my crazy cases for the week. Now, I've got several different ones with regards to hormones. A lot of different doctors have been getting into hormones, and everybody's got their philosophies and everybody's got their different ways of going about it. I just don't know that I agree with all of the patterns that they're taking people down. So, in one particular case, this she was a younger woman, like 40 years old, and, she was having a lot of issues that you could associate with having your hormones being off. And I looked at her test results from before, and yeah, she was on, the twinge of lower side, but she was also under a ton of stress at the time. The stress and all of that was not addressed. Now we're just going to put you straight onto hormones. And I'm doing her post labs, and I'm looking, and her testosterone is over 500. Okay. Now, here's one of the things. Women shouldn't really be much above 50. Okay, I know that there's a lot of people who are, giving women these much higher levels of testosterone because there's some women get this nice, like, real uppity energy kind of feeling. It doesn't happen all the time. I get what the doctors are doing. I get what they're doing, but we don't have the long-term understanding of what that does to a woman's body when you're putting them at such high hormones over a prolonged period of time. We just don't know. And also, frankly, it's not that great to start growing facial hair. And then, that's what starts happening. You start developing all of these symptoms associated with men. So, and so she's having some of these different symptoms. And again, one of the issues that I have is, just not checking your work. Like, I get you're really trying to help somebody. I love that. But let's make sure we're doing the follow-up and helping to educate the patient to understand where their levels really need to be and what we should be doing, and then also just helping to get these things regulated so that we aren't seeing these negative side effects of too much hormones. Another case, so similar to this one. Young woman, barely 30 years old, going through a very, very stressful time. And what was happening is she was getting all of these symptoms that, again, you would associate with a hormone imbalance, especially like these night sweats and all of that. I want to take a quick side note. There can be more than one thing that can be causing temperature deregulation. It's not always hormones. There's a multitude of things. And I really believe in checking for all of it. One of the interesting things that I've been finding is they are actually testing for these things. They're running beautiful labs, but they're almost getting into too much of a rinse and repeat. It's almost like they've gone from being this total resource for health to I've got one tool and it's the hammer of hormones. And we're just going to keep hammering, hammering, hammering hormones because maybe it's a little bit easier than trying to really understand what's at the root cause of your issues. So that's one of the things I'm running into. And I'm looking at the labs that were run, and the answers are there. But the systems that these different facilities are operating in, they're just getting so much into this kind of mindless rhythm. And here's the thing is when you start putting young women on hormones too early, we just don't really have the research to know what that's going to look like long term. How is that going to impact her decades later? This particular young woman is putting on weight like crazy, which is not surprising. Um, and whenever I'm looking at it, you can see between the stress levels and a major nutrient deficiency, the answers are all right there. So now, one of the other craziest cases that came through this past week. So there's a lot of different pharmaceuticals that have very, very good intentions for preventing cancers, for preventing high blood pressures, for preventing water retention. There's a lot of these different things that they have good intentions, but they have these side effects that where you don't absorb key nutrients that you do need. There's not checking to see, I know that this medication that I put you on can cause all of these different things, these different core vitamins not to absorb. Let's check and make sure that's not happening. Are you being monitored? Are you being well looked at for all of the different things, the different side effects? Because what I'm running into is like, yeah, at first, maybe there's not many problems, but here we are a year in, 2 years in, and their energy is just tanking. No, it's because at first, started off with a full tank, but just the depletion, the depletion, the depletion, depletion, over time. And now these individuals, they're just running on E. They got nothing left. This last one. And this is when we're talking about infertility, this is such an emotional topic. And it's one I usually try to stay away from just because of the intensity of the emotions that a lot of these couples are going through. But with regards to infertility, let me give you just a real basic premise. There are a lot of reasons why there could be fertility issues, but one of the ones that just goes so unchecked is nutrients. Is there enough nutrients in reserve to maintain a healthy pregnancy? When somebody is already so depleted, the reproductive system just it shuts down because there's not enough to keep mom alive, much less mom and baby. And so the reproductive system says, you know what? No, we're not doing this. We are not because the reproductive system is naturally always in a state of self-preservation. Your body is always going to try to protect you first before it will take on take on another passenger. So and this is why women who have eating disorders, they will no longer they will stop having a menstrual cycle. Why does that happen? There's not enough nutrients for a pregnancy. So the body, in a way to protect mom, just won't let her get pregnant. We're just going to shut that down. Now, are there obviously individuals who are, not in such a depletion, they're, it's not such a depletion, but they're not at full. They're kind of like sitting in that gray middle, that purgatory area. And can those individuals struggle with getting pregnant? Absolutely. Absolutely. You take where you're already kind of sitting in like a a middle ground, not really enough, but not so bad that the periods and the menstrual cycles have stopped, kind of sitting in that awkward middle. And then you add just a little bit of stress to that situation. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as to why the body would say, no, you are not in a good position for the stresses that come with the pregnancy. So we're just not going to allow that to happen, in spite of your wishes to the contrary. My question is, why are we checking them for this? Why are we putting these people through the ringers of all these hormone treatments? We're putting them through the ringers of even some of these infertility treatments, which are wildly costly. And we're not analyzing, do you have enough fuel for the journey? Do you have enough to even maintain a healthy pregnancy? And here's where I really, really struggle with that. Like, if there's still not enough fuel, even the IVF, even that, it's just not going to take, because the body still knows I get what you're trying to do, or we're trying to force this to happen. We still don't have enough. And what I'm running into, and again, and I think that these all are wonderful, good doctors. I believe that they are doing the absolute best. They're just so constrained by a standard of care and how they're supposed to operate. When we're going through this process, they're just relying on, here's your prenatal. That should take care of everything. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm running into, as I'm working with some geneticists and really understanding the intricacies of how our genetic makeup influences how we absorb, what we can and can't eat, how we consume, all of these really phenomenal factors. This one size fits all prenatal, we're actually running into that there's a huge percentage of women who just don't absorb that well. In fact, some of them, it's almost like a toxicity to their system because of how they don't metabolize it properly. And again, I get it. The logic for so long has been, well, why even check for your nutritional deficiencies? Let's just throw this prenatal at it. That'll take care of everything. But it obviously isn't. It obviously is not working. Otherwise, we would see these rates getting better and better, and we wouldn't even see the need for these much more invasive and unfortunately costly procedures. So that is another one of the ones that I saw this week. And, you just really, your heart goes out to these individuals who are just heartbroken because they have not been able to have the family that they so desperately want. And what I love about the hope that I was able to give was that at the very worst case scenario, we go along this process, you're going to be the healthiest you've ever been. The secondary benefit is when you understand the epigenetics and how epigenetics works. By taking this time for you and, for both of you, both mom and dad, taking that time to upgrade your epigenetics, to turn on the best of your DNA and shut down the worst of it. It's amazing what that can do for this next generation and generations to come, according to the research. And we have absolutely seen that. Also, let's just add to it, if you're going into a pregnancy well-fueled, healthy, you have a much higher likelihood of having a beautiful, wonderful, much less stressful pregnancy. So I love being able to give that gift to these young couples so that they can, just enjoy the entire experience of becoming a parent, and not have all of these additional stressors and strains and expenses, on the front side. To wrap up things, the issues that I'm just seeing, and again, this is just this past week, these are just symptoms of the system. This is not bad doctors. This is not bad nurses. This is not people who just don't care. This is not people who are ill-equipped or ignorant. What it really is that the industry has just created such a conveyor belt that these patients are on, and these doctors and these nurses and these practitioners, they have to rush so much just to keep up with the pace of what's happening. They don't have the time, they don't have the energy to dive into the intricacies if you aren't a perfect fit for their particular system and their particular tools. And that's what I'm saying. And again, there's just not enough time for them to even take a step back and to reflect on, is it working? Am I getting the results that I want? And I'll be straight, whenever I sit, behind closed doors with a lot of these individuals, I mean, they know. They know that there can be a better way, but they're so entrenched, they just don't know what to do. And a lot of these wonderful practitioners and doctors and nurses, I mean, they're leaving the system. They are mass exiting because they don't want to play this game anymore. And I understand. I have to say I'm one of them as well. So here's the encouragement to anybody who feels really let down by the system. You're not alone. There are wonderful, good doctors out there who have figured out better ways to help the people, to help their patients, and to get them the kind of results and the kind of health that they really deserve. Well, that's it for this episode of the Longevity Lab. I'm your host, Dr. Jae Hitson. That's a wrap on this episode of the Longevity Lab. But the conversation doesn't stop here. If today's episode made you think differently about your health, subscribe, leave a review, or share it with somebody who needs to hear this. For more expert insights, personalized health solutions, and real answers that go beyond the standard approach, visit us at GoodDoctors.Health. Because when you get to the root cause, you don't just manage symptoms, you transform your health. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep taking charge of your longevity.